Thank you for tuning in. My name is Charles Smith, and I am the creator as well as the co-host for Real Health TV. On tonight's episode, my co-host Christy and Sean will be sharing information ranging from when is sleep considered too much, all the way to when is it time to fire your doctor. That's right, when is it time to fire your doctor? Doctors are practitioners just like anything else, and they don't have all of the answers. Sometimes you know more about your situation than they do because you actually are the one who is feeling the pain and or experiencing the discomfort. So on tonight's show, we will be speaking on when is it time to let that doctor go if that doctor is not taking your advice or taking your concerns seriously. Some doctors will not deal with you if you come in with alternative methods and alternative ways of thinking about healthcare. Therefore, you may need to find one that will. So on tonight's show, again, Christy and Sean will be exploring this, and I'd love for you to tune in, take notes, and if you have any questions or concerns, contact us. Our website information is at the bottom of the screen, and you can contact us there on the website. And you never know, we might air your questions on the show. So reach out to us, and let's get into the show. Thank you.
How do you balance your health real? Since balance is important. I know personally for me, I have to get rest. I have to eat right. I have to drink enough water for my body weight. Then I found myself wanting to be alone just for a moment because we don't get that much alone time. And then I find myself either meditating and or napping. And I get rejuvenated from that.
How long do you typically nap?
Depends on what had taken place the day before or the night before. If I work late and then I have to clean up, me personally, 2 hours is enough. I can do an hour, but 2 hours is better for me. Anything over 3, then I wake up, it's like, oh crap, I'm late to work. What time is it? Where am I? That kind of stuff. And then I end up going to sleep around 1:30 and getting off of my pattern that I have set for myself.
Right.
But I wake up 5:30, 6 o'clock every morning just so I can get that peace and be awake but alone.
Right.
Just for that moment before everybody else gets up and start their day. So I have my affirmations, but that's how I balance myself. I go over everything I need to do. Not all the time it gets done, but I do.
I think you made some very good points, and the one that stood out the most to me is how important sleep is. We don't realize that sleep is the epitome of importance when it comes to wellness and health. And it's because that's the time when our bodies actually heal themselves. That's when our bodies are and our cells are rejuvenating themselves. So when we lack sleep, we're lacking healing in our bodies. And many times that's when different types of ailments come on because our body hasn't had enough time to heal and rejuvenate. So I think that's an excellent point that you made, even about napping. We need to, as adults, be getting at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep at night. And if you can get an hour or 2 hour nap in during the day, which most of us can't, we've been blessed to be able to work from home.
Yes.
So we can actually take those 1 and 2 hour lunch breaks or nap breaks. But sleep is so important in any type of healing or health and wellness. So I just really want to stress that sleeping is something that's needed just like water. I think that at the end of the day, sleeping too much would probably be anything over 8 to 10 hours a day. And just not wanting to get up, not wanting to get out of bed, there's a difference in getting sleep that you need, sleep that's required, that your body requires, and just sleeping too much. You know, some people just like to sleep.
Yeah, I
You know?
love a nap.
I mean, hey,
I'm dreaming about sleep right now.
I'm thinking about kindergarten where we were allowed to take a nap every day.
Yes.
You know, and it's, I just think that there's a difference in oversleeping and just choosing to sleep because you like to sleep.
Are you familiar with dandelion greens as far as
Absolutely,
the detox?
I juice them.
Ooh, where'd you get them from?
I purchase them from Sprouts and I put them with my wheatgrass,
Mm-hmm.
or I'll just put them with my green juice that I make every day.
So, oil pulling.
Not familiar with that one.
What?
Yes.
Okay, so let me tell you about oil pulling. Oil pulling is when you use coconut oil or sesame seed oil, and you take 2 tablespoons, put it in your mouth, swish it around. The first time it may be around 10 minutes. The more you hold it in your mouth, the more it detoxifies the body.
Wow.
So, oil pulling, there's different ways to oil pull, but orally is the way to go.
Okay.
So, bad breath, cavities, bleeding gums, dry mouth, oil pulling is definitely the way to go. What other detoxes are you familiar with?
Well, one of the detoxes that I utilize myself is a steam sauna. I love steam saunas, dry saunas, but I actually have a steam sauna at my home. And I sit in that a couple of times a day for about 30 minutes, and that completely detoxes. And it does so through your skin, which is the largest organ in your body. Opens your pores, pulls out, you sweat out toxins. And I actually go a step farther because I also have an ozone generator at my home in which I combine the two. So I actually have an ozone steam sauna.
So, explain the ozone to me.
Well, ozone is it's a step up from oxygen, which is O2. Ozone is O3. And it actually, when it's entered into the body, it helps to purify the cells. It also helps to alkalize the cells, and it brings your cells into a pH balance, and it also boosts your immunity. And it just has so many healing effects and so many properties that actually regenerate. Yeah, it does a great deal of things. There are so many different ways you can get ozone into the body. At home, there are doctors, not too many in the United States that actually, because it's considered an alternative or integrative modality, but there are some that actually inject it, and it's called autoimmune therapy. And what they do is they take out a pint of your blood, they ozonate it and put it back in. And so that puts the ozone into your body. And it turns bright red. It looks exactly like Hi-C fruit punch.
Wow.
When they mix it, it becomes bright red. But some of the things that you can do at home would consist of rectal insufflation, vaginal insufflation. You can actually drink ozone water after it's ozonated.
Okay. So, vaginal and rectal.
Yes.
Stay and away. Can you explain? Can you explain to me exactly? Put that in layman's terms.
I will
for
do that if you
those
explain to me
people's-
which one is actually the stay and which one is the away.
So it was like you have to insert something to do what where.
Well, going back to just a little tidbit of the colon health, we know that anything that's put into the colon actually absorbs throughout your whole body.
Yes.
And so when you're putting the ozone into your rectum, it goes into your colon, and it's absorbed throughout your whole body faster. It's actually the next best thing to actually having your blood drawn and ozonated. And the way that it's done is through a catheter, and you put it in a bag. You can actually determine how much ozone is put into a I can't think of the name of the bag, but you put it in a bag and you attach it to a catheter and you insert it. And it's a very small catheter. And it goes into the rectum, and at that point it's absorbed throughout your whole body. And many people have felt energized. It actually helps people to feel better. But more importantly, it's actually killing bacteria, bad bacteria, not the good bacteria. And it's known to fight cancer cells. It does a great deal of good. And vaginally, it's the same process, of course, not with the same catheter. You would go in, you would actually insert it into the vagina, and it actually is known for curing people of herpes. It kills bacteria, again, like I said, the bad bacteria. And once again, it's absorbed through the vagina. It goes throughout the whole body. It's absorbed, and it just goes throughout, even more so than rectally. And so there's also an ear insufflation where you put on stethoscopes. It looks like a stethoscope. You attach it to the ozone machine, and it actually goes in and it kills any type of heavy metals that are in the head and the brain. And there's so much research done on all of it. And there are just so many different modalities and alternative medicines and that are helping people heal.
Let me ask you this. Do you have the ear thingy at home?
I absolutely do.
Okay, yay.
Yes.
Maybe we can get rid of seizures.
Oh,
once and for
seizures,
all.
sinus infections, it does a great deal. One of the things that you mentioned earlier is affirmations. And I just want to stress the importance of affirmations because I'm huge on when healing anything that's going on in your body and in your life. Self-talk is going to be your number one go-to for healing because you can't heal anything in your body. I don't care if you're going to the doctor and they're giving you medication, and it may be temporary, it may even be a Band-Aid to whatever you have going on, but until you change your mind and you start to affirm a belief system, because you've been affirming a bad belief system, and you know that because of a lot of the health elements that you have going on. But I think when we get to a point that we decide to change our minds and we start to affirm the things that we need, even if it's something that we don't truly believe, but we're affirming it and we're telling ourselves that, then that's what's going to make a difference. So I think that's number one with anything. Before you go forward with anything, you have to believe, okay, I am going to be healed, or this is going to heal, this is going to help me, or I'm not going to do this, or whatever it is that you believe is what your body is going to do. You hear so many times when people get these dire diagnoses and they're given 2 or 3 months to live, and in 2 or 3 months they're gone, and that's because they believed that affirmation that was given to them. But then you hear about people who were given 2 or 3 months to live, and they're 20 years later, they're still here, and that's because they didn't take that. They didn't believe that affirmation that was told to them. Right. So it's really important to get to a point to where you truly decide what it is that you want, and you believe it, and that's what it's going to be.
Let's touch on chemical awareness.
Absolutely.
How much do you eat? Or what do you put on your body or into your body that you are not aware of the chemicals and how those chemicals affect your DNA or your makeup? So, the largest organ, the skin, we have to be mindful of what we put on our skin. What do you use to moisturize?
I use coconut oil.
Yes.
I use coconut oil.
Coconut.
I use olive oil. I use nothing but natural oil, even black seed oil. And I have a concoction that I've mixed the two together. Mm-hmm. And I actually have it here with us today because I use it, just in case. But I mix the two together, and that's all I use. And the same with brushing my teeth. I have a concoction of baking soda, and coconut oil, and I brush my teeth.
Oh, I use the baking
Yeah.
soda, activated charcoal, and salt. I use
Right.
the salt for inflammation, the baking soda, and the activated charcoal. And then I would even rinse with peroxide.
Oh, absolutely.
Then turn around and go behind it with Dr. Titian so I won't end up foaming all day.
Right. Right, but as far as on the skin, coconut oil. Coconut oil, occasionally, I'll, like I said, mix it with olive oil. And I think, looking at our skin, we look great. But, and it's less expensive. You can go to Costco and buy a huge jar of coconut oil and it goes so far. I have some in the kitchen, I have some in the bathroom.
Yes.
So that's like one of my best friends.
My go-to oil. So what about the chemicals that are in the organic things? The chemicals that they put on the fruit, the vegetables, Roundup. How do you feel about Roundup? Weed killer?
Right, I feel like it's a weed killer. And if it can kill a weed, it can kill you. In very small doses, very slowly. And sure, that's where many of the illnesses that we see today are coming from. And it's really frightening that you spend extra money on organic products and you really don't know if you're buying organic. So the best thing to do is really to plant your own foods and grow your own foods. And many of us can't do that, especially living in the city. And so you find co-ops. And here in Dallas, there's a co-op that is located in the South Dallas area. And that's exactly what they do. They bought land and they've cultivated it and they're selling organically grown vegetables and fruits.
Hey,
Yeah.
awesome. So I believe that you can grow certain things at home. Anything with a seed, I suggest you hold on to the seeds.
Absolutely.
And especially if it says non-GMO, because we're moving towards GMO everything.
Right.
And where it's organic, we're still running into GMO because you can't govern the pollination.
Right.
How it's going to be pollinated.
I think when we look at organic, you have to really be careful because just because something says organic doesn't mean that it's good for you. They have what's called multidextrin, and there is an organic multidextrin.
Really?
Yes, if you look at some foods that say organic, mostly in processed foods like potato chips or something along those lines, if you look at it and it says that it's all these organic ingredients, there's an organic multidextrin. So we have to be careful about that. And going back to the seeds, can anybody tell me the last time you've seen a grape with seeds?
I do. I have grape seeds.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Where do you get them?
I got them from, I believe, Super One.
Wow.
Oh, sorry. It's not a local grocery store here, but it is in Louisiana.
They're around. They're scattered, but they're
Right.
around.
And
Really?
I don't get seedless grapes or seedless watermelons.
Right.
Or, I hold on to the seeds. And every time I bit down into a seed, I would spit them out and hold on to them. And I'm ready to plant. I'm so ready to plant. I want my own stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
I have to purchase property first. That's coming
Right.
soon. But raised gardens, I feel like you can start somewhere. It's always good to have. I have an herb garden.
Okay.
Basil, rosemary. Rosemary is an awesome mosquito and fly repellent. It also repels deer. So if you have a bunch of wildlife,
Right.
and it is awesome on
It
chicken
is.
and fish
Absolutely.
and green beans
It
and
smells so
greens and beans,
Yes.
and it goes well with everything. I really wish we can get back into using natural herbs, real food
Right.
for real people.
Right.
I think this was Dr. Sebi.
Yes.
He said we're using chemical food for mineral beings.
Right. That's absolutely right.
And we just need to get back to us.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought up Dr. Sebi, because that is, when I found out who he was and I read about what he was about and watched his videos and really learned who he was and why he did what he did, that completely changed my life. I have his nutritional chart on my refrigerator, and those are the foods that I prepare. The meals, and I think I showed you pictures earlier of just tortillas and different alternative foods that I make based on foods that are on his list, because it makes sense. And it wasn't until I started following Dr. Sebi that I realized, hey, there are no seeds in the grapes. There are no seeds in limes and lemons. How are they growing these things?
And that's the thing. When I do get them, I make sure I keep them. I keep the lemons from the watermelons, even down to the eggplant.
Wow. It makes sense.
I've been holding on to, I have seeds that are 2, 3, 5 years old.
Wow.
Because I would hold on to them. My nectarines, my apricots, my plums, my peaches.
Right.
The oranges, the lemons, the lime, key lime, especially the avocado.
Exactly. And, and I'm glad you brought up the point about the key limes, because when I saw on his list that he prefers the key limes over the limes, and so I bought the both, and I didn't know why. I was like, what's the difference? One is smaller than the other, but maybe the taste is a little different. When I cut it open, there were no seeds in the limes. But in the key limes, there are tons of seeds. Mm-hmm. And so he promotes vegetables and fruits where it actually has the seeds in them. And even the cucumbers, even though the seeds are very fine and small, you're able to digest those seeds. Mm-hmm. And with the apples, when I juice, I make sure I put, as small as the apple seeds are, I make sure that I put them in there, because those apple seeds actually have healing properties. Mm-hmm. And so it's really important to buy seeded food. Mm-hmm. And that there's life in that. And you have to ask yourself, if you're buying a seedless watermelon or seedless grapes, where is it coming from? How is it producing itself? It can't produce itself. It can't drop seeds into the ground and grow more. It can't do that because there's nothing there to do it. So I'm so glad you brought that up, because I've not been able to find any grapes with seeds in it. And I shop at Sprouts, and they have a whole organic section, but seedless grapes. Seedless grapes.
Okay, well get the other grapes. The grapes with seeds.
There are none. That's what I'm saying. I've not seen seeded grapes in the longest time.
So do you think the organic stores or the Whole Food stores, reading the labels can tell you. I just really haven't had the time to read labels for things that I just don't purchase.
Right.
I don't do prepackaged sauces and things like that. I make my own sauce. I probably would use crushed tomatoes or stewed tomatoes. They have citric acid in it, but that comes from tomatoes, so I'm good with that. So the things that we would get that didn't say organic, they were already organic.
Right.
But as soon as they put an organic label on it, just add $2 to $3 to the cost of it, and hose yourself.
Right. Right. And it makes it really scary to purchase anything that's organic, because you're paying extra money and you really truly don't know.
Right.
You just don't know unless you've gone out to this particular farm and you've watched how they process the foods. You just don't know. I've gotten to the point to where I can sort of tell by looking, but that's not 100%. That's probably only 50%.
Right.
And that's by looking at the color of the vegetables. I've noticed that, for instance, with the zucchini that's organic or has the organic sticker on it is actually smaller than the zucchini that's non-organic. And the same with the cucumber. They're over here where it's non-organic. The cucumbers are this long and this big,
Right.
but when you go over to organic, they're much smaller. So I'm like, okay, maybe that's what the difference is. I don't know. But you just never know.
But I remember heirloom tomatoes.
Right.
My grandmother, we had a garden. We had greens, tomatoes, okra, pecans, figs.
Right.
The variety that was just on the land, on less than an acre
Right.
of land. We ate off of that land. And I know for a fact she did not add extra stuff to
We
it
didn't
because
have
she
to.
wasn't having
Right.
it. You know,
Right.
we probably burned something and she probably throw the ashes down there.
Right.
Oh, and washer powder because of the sulfites, I do believe, to keep the bugs off of the greens. We had collard green leaves this big. And we ate good
Right.
every week. We had collard greens that were picked right out of the front yard.
Right.
So what's going on with that today?
Right. Why is there even an organic label? Is what we have to ask ourselves. Why is there an organic label? At what point did food become inorganic?
Right. That's a great question. Hopefully one day we'll find out.
Well, it's when they decided to make genetically modified food, and it's cheaper. They can make more. Sometimes I wonder if it's
Pesticide resistant.
right.
I'm sure because
Right.
that's part of why they had done it. They wanted to get it to the point where the pests would not eat it.
Right.
But if they can't eat it and digest it, why should we?
Exactly. And there was a time when you could buy fruits and vegetables and you had to eat them.
Yes.
You had to eat them right away. But now they can last for weeks in the refrigerator or on the counter.
Yeah,
And
mine
that's
wouldn't.
because of the preservatives and the pesticides that they're adding
Right.
to the food. And we're actually eating this. So it's important to be aware of what you put in your body.
Yes.
Don't wait until you're sick to change your lifestyle. And that's what it's about, is a lifestyle change.
And before you can change your lifestyle, you have to change your mind.
Absolutely.
Early detection is very, very important. But how can you get to early detection if you don't go to the doctor? What do you think about those people who get to the doctor because something is wrong and the doctor tells them that it's okay or they don't see anything? What do you suggest?
I suggest that they get a second opinion. If they know that something is not right in their body, that's their body. You know your body. Get a second opinion. I mean, maybe the doctor didn't see, maybe he's just not diligent enough to really listen, because not all doctors listen. So I think it's really important to get a second opinion if you know that something is not right.
But yet and still, hold on, let me tell you though, since black people, we register different. Our bone, muscle, and tissue
Right.
is denser than any race. X-rays is not detected
Right,
all the time.
right,
Certain imaging, but my thing is the competency of the individual that's doing the reading.
hence a second opinion. Yeah.
Okay, but yet and still, how do they come about with a second opinion? How do you go to another doctor with a second opinion?
Right.
Because they want to see the records where
That's
you
true.
just had
Right.
that done. And my thing is, they would expand on what the other doctor had just said.
Right.
So how do you obtain a proper second opinion?
Right.
When you go to a doctor, you really have to listen to what the doctor says to you. I understand that, I get that, but it's so frustrating when somebody spends years and years and years and things aren't getting any better. You've got to get a second opinion. You've got to be precise, and trust me, the doctor's working for you. You're not working for the doctor. And if you feel rushed, you go in there and they feel like, well, okay, here, take this, do that. No. They're working for you. You need to go in with your questions in hand, write them down so you think about ahead of time what it is you want to know. And if you're going in asking questions about your child and they say, we need to do this, you need to ask why. Why are we doing this? What's the upside? What's the downside? What are the side effects? If they say, we're going to give you this medication for your child, is this indicated for a child my age? If they say your child's got bipolar, give me something to read about this. Are they the age that they should be bipolar? And this medication you're giving me for it, what are the side effects? Could the side effects be worse than the disease it's supposedly treating? If you go ask another doctor, are they going to tell you the same thing? Or is this just this person's idiosyncratic view of your child? We, as patients, we are too passive with these doctors. And if they're talking about your health, your mental health, your physical health, your child, their health, ask questions, demand answers. Have them give you literature, look it up, read it, know what you're getting. Don't just passively accept this stuff when you're talking about your child or your own health. And if it isn't working, then ask more questions and give it time. Don't do it for 2 days. Ask them, how long should it be before this starts to have an effect? And if the side effects get really bad, call that doctor back up and tell them. Don't be a passive patient.
My faith in man isn't what I would like it to be.
For good reason.
Yeah. I've trusted doctors that sent me home telling me, oh, you're going to be okay, everything is fine, just because they had a great bedside manner, and I trusted them.
Right. That's true.
But to go home to have my organs shutting down, it's just like, nah.
Right. hear
That's
that
because
all the
I
time.
trusted this
Right,
doctor.
right.
But if I didn't have somebody around me to say, hey, no, this isn't right, let's go to the doctor, or I could pick up the phone and call somebody and be like, you know what, I don't feel right, and somebody will come sit with me. Whenever you feel bad, being by yourself is not the thing to do. Because who wants to be found alone?
Right.
I'd rather have a good friend that understands me, knows how I am, to come sit with me. But the time and going to the doctor, though, when you feel as if you've gone to the doctor enough,
Right.
what happens when you get tired and you don't want to go?
Right.
Then what? Sometimes you do need to just have that good friend and say, you know what, this isn't working.
Right.
Let's take you to another doctor. A lot of times if the doctor doesn't feel comfortable doing what you are asking or getting the tests that need to be
Right.
done, stop trying to force a bad relationship. It's like any other relationship. If it's not working for you, this is the time for it to be severed. And start a new one immediately. Go see someone or do reference checks. How do you choose doctors if you were to go to a doctor? How would you choose a doctor?
Well, of course, a good bedside manner is important, but for me, I research everything. I research any doctor that I go. Before I go to a doctor, I've already researched. I know everything about them.
So what search engines do you go to find a good doctor?
Well, there's, oh my gosh.
Health Grades.
Health Grades is one of them. There's Health Web, I believe it is. Friends referrals, people's referrals, asking around. There are so many different ways that you can find out about different doctors. The biggest thing is just doing your homework. Going back to doing your homework.
True. But when you have done your homework, because I've had this experience, very nice oncologist. She's fashionable.
Right.
But she violated HIPAA. And come to find out, I don't think she knew what she was doing. Because that wasn't my first rodeo at an oncologist.
Right.
I know which tests are supposed to be done, and I don't try to tell somebody. It's not like I'm coming to your house and tell you how to wash dishes.
Right.
Hey, if you want to throw them in the dishwasher, that's fine. I know if I had one, I would.
Right.
But until then, I like to put a little bleach in my water to wash my dishes. But I mean, what you do is what you do. Going into her office, the violations, the violation of HIPAA is when this doctor has a conversation with someone else or another patient without your consent. You can sue for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay? And I believe if they're violating HIPAA, that means you don't know your job. You can't know your job. Because the first stage of knowing what you're supposed to do in a medical setting is this. You're supposed to keep your mouth shut. Who you see when you see him, all this other stuff. If it's working with the patient, and you're talking to a nurse in the office, that's one thing. But when it goes somewhere completely different, pay attention to your body first. Then take that body to a doctor. And if the doctor doesn't want to listen, go see another doctor. Because you know yourself first.
Absolutely. And early detection with breast cancer, I wanted to sort of touch on a bit. So many people go and have mammograms. There are all alternatives to mammograms as well, and it's called a thermograph. And it's basically no radiation utilized whatsoever, and the procedure is painless. It's very effective in early detection, and that's something that you can find pretty much in any city. They're not as abundant as mammograms as far as doctors that are performing them, but they are there, and sometimes they're covered by insurance. Not all insurances pay for it, but it is something that's less invasive. It's not putting radiation into your body, so that's an alternative too for early detection. And it not only detects breast cancer, there are other things in your body that can be detected by a thermograph.
So do you know how much they run since they're not covered in...
They're under $200.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
There are doctors here in Dallas and North Dallas that actually perform those, and they're under $200.
Awesome.
I want to thank everyone for joining us on Real Health, and we look forward to seeing you again. And if you have any questions or any topics that you'd like for us to discuss or even research for you, please don't hesitate to contact us and put those questions out there.
Until next time.
Until next time. Bye.
Move with the groove, smooth like that, and now we move with the groove, smooth like